From an early age, I've had a knack for finding beauty in what others toss out. I also have a creative and people-oriented bent that helps me connect with others. Creativity is really just problem solving, and I, Callynth Finney, have had ample opportunity to become a problem solver. I grew up in an upper middle class neighborhood in the suburbs of Minneapolis, Minnesota. That was the world I knew and where I began my creative ventures. I can remember going to school in the morning and saying to myself, I'm gonna be a shy girl today. And I thought the shy girls were the cool girls because they didn't need to, just vomit themselves all over everybody and have interaction with everybody. But I was so excited to know about everybody and for everybody to know about me and I'd meet somebody and I want to be best friends with them right on the spot. I was an only child for many years. Yeah. And both of my parents worked full time. So that meant I was home by myself a lot too. And when none of the neighbors were available to play or hang out, I would just get out the phone book and call up random numbers and then ask for a fake name. And, is Nancy there? You have the wrong number. There's nobody by that name here. Okay, well, what's your name? My name's Callie. And after a while, I had some regulars and who would occasionally take my calls or sometimes, it's Callie again. I had a rocky relationship with my parents. By age 12, I began running away from home. I would hide out at friends' houses, and eventually I landed at a shelter for runaway youth. By age 15, I was living in a group home for troubled teens. At age 16, after returning back home, I continued to fight against the life my parents prescribed for me. I was then asked to leave and not return. I had nowhere to go. I ended up on the inner streets of Minneapolis. My creativity or problem-solving ability was challenged in a whole new way. My eyes began seeing things differently. I looked for anything that could be a resource. Overflowing trash in the alleyways, what might be in there that I could use? I was always on the lookout, especially for the discarded pizzas left in the dumpster behind Rocky Rococo's. They left pizzas still in the box and sometimes warm. In time, I got off the street, though not unscathed. During that time, it felt like I lived a million lives. By age 17, I was pregnant. I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl and I placed her for adoption. And by age 21, I had gone through another pregnancy. I had an infant son and was living in low-income housing in an unfurnished apartment. My baby and I arrived there with 4 items: a twin bed, a folding chair, a radio, and a coffee table with 3 legs. I began dumpster diving at the apartment complex. Over the next few weeks, I found artwork, boards and cinder blocks to use for shelves, and frying pans to use for both cooking and ironing clothes. I was struggling. I was really poor. Yet, this was one of the most joyful and vibrant times of my life. I had a newfound Christian faith and a small church family who took me under their wing. They surrounded my son and me with the love of God, and I bloomed. I began to work as a hairdresser and was able to fully support myself and my son. My life became centered around following Jesus, so much so that after 4 years, I had sold everything that I had accumulated and became a missionary. We moved to Lindale, Texas, and joined Youth with a Mission, a Christian nonprofit. It was there that I met and married a great man who worked alongside me. During that time, I also started a photography business on the side to help supplement our income as missionaries. After 12 years, we moved from Lindale to Tyler. I opened a photography studio in downtown Tyler in 2015. My desire to affirm the value in people that already exists and to demonstrate the love of God has been a driving force in all I do. Being downtown has given me the opportunity to walk this out daily with the people I meet on the street and those who walk into my door for various reasons. The opportunities to do what I love most kept finding me. Just as I had developed eyes to see what others had thrown out, I have eyes to see people who seem invisible to others, even to themselves. When I was in their position, there were many times I wished somebody would just stop and ask if I was okay. I didn't always know where to find housing and help, and eventually I figured it out, but human concern was what I needed most. I remember the time I spent my only dollar to stretch a cup of coffee at the 24-hour cafe. It was too cold to sleep outside. I kept nodding off at the table and I was asked to leave. No sleeping allowed. When the night cook got off his shift, he offered to take me back to his house. I had to consider whether or not I was willing to pay the price. To my surprise, he made up a bed for me and said goodnight and left me alone. Or the time when 6 bags of groceries were left on my apartment doorstep anonymously. Wow. So in February of 2021, when a sub-freezing winter storm threatened the state of Texas, I knew what to do. In the past, I had posted community needs on Facebook and had a sprinkle of responses. This time was different. I reminded people about the freezing weather and those who are experiencing homelessness in our city. I asked for those who would be willing to give money to help get people off the street during this dangerously cold week. So many people responded. Miracles happened. Over that week, we were able to shelter 177 people. We filled every room in the Super 8 and other various rooms in hotels around Tyler. It was a sleepless week for me. And it wasn't just the adrenaline that came with running the show 24 hours a day and meeting the needs of all these people that kept me going. It was dozens of people in the community working together to deliver meals, to provide counseling, on-site medical care, cleaning, and offering prayers to those that wanted it. At the end of the week, when people checked out of the hotel, I was given gift after gift. I was given a necklace taken off of the giver's neck, food, a blanket, a piece of glass art that was broken, a pair of old shoes, a handmade poster. I took everything that was offered to me and I held it dearly. They didn't just want to take, they wanted to give too, and they did all week long. They shoveled, they helped clean, they helped serve food, and they shared with one another what little they had. It was a community effort on all sides. Because of the winter storm, people received proper medical care, counseling, and a whole lot of love. A few did not have to go back to the streets. They were placed in nursing homes, permanent housing with new jobs, and recovery programs. Important relationships were built. And a new nonprofit, Tyler's Street Team, has emerged to go to the unsheltered and meet them where they are, to connect them to existing local resources and wonderful programs here that provide medical care and housing, food, clothing, counseling, employment, and more. Currently we have maybe, I'm gonna guess around 15, 16 tents under the bridge. Some of those contain one person and a few are couples. Dee is in her late 60s. She battles mental illness and Tourette syndrome. She was raised in an orphanage. It was a really bad experience for her, especially having Tourette syndrome growing up and the ridicule that she endured, that it gave her so much anxiety that she will not go into the Salvation Army or into any shelter. She needs to be away. So when we first gave her a tent, she wanted to be as far away from others as possible. And they've taken turns making sure that when people come with food that she gets some. Oh, I forgot to mention the part about that she is legally blind. And so sometimes at night she'll get lost going to the porta potty, and if people see, they'll help her. In addition to visiting people under the bridge, there are people in the woods that we visit as well. There's a couple in the woods. They were actually able to get their stimulus, and with their stimulus money they purchased a yurt. And so they've been able to stay dry and haven't had as many problems with flooding. They've been married for 31 years. I have a friend named Stanley. He comes to visit me quite often. And one day we spent the day together and I played a song for him. It's a song, perhaps my favorite song in the world, by a local Chicago artist named Daphne Willis. And the song is titled Somebody Someone. And it goes through talking about the person on the corner and how somebody driving by might see them, but that there's somebody's mother, somebody's son, somebody's mother or father, somebody, someone. And I played that song for Stanley. And he would come in and ask me to play it again, and he'd just sit there. We'd just sit there quietly together and listen to that song. And one day he said, I miss putting my head on my mom's lap and she would run her fingers through my hair. That's all I have to say about that. The hope is that as we reach out, residents who are experiencing homelessness and volunteers alike will have opportunities to build trusting relationships with one another, that they will see each other as human to human, and that they'll find themselves better for being in each other's lives. I want to see more of us Tylerites taking the risk, stepping out in compassion. Love is risky. There is nothing better than being both known and loved. That is the Tyler that I can be proud to be a part of.